Your uncle's political rant has nothing on the takes fans are dropping today. Today, on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Booney, one name, all passion, no sugarcoating. I'm a lifelong A's fan who has spent the past season covering this team every single day, post-game breakdowns, prospect deep dives, roster decisions, and all the chaos in between. And in the offseason, we are still covering the A's every single day. I don't show up with corporate talking points or highlight reel cliches. I show up with honesty, edge, and the perspective of someone who refuses to let this team be treated like an afterthought. If you want blind optimism, look elsewhere. If you want truth, fire, and a voice that actually cares, welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your A's, every single day. We are serving up a Thanksgiving morning special built exactly the way A's fans like it. Loud, honest, unpredictable, and a little chaotic. Before the turkey hits the oven and before the NFL kicks off, we are carving out time for the most loyal, passionate, and beautifully unhinged fan base in baseball. This is your show today. Your questions, your comments, your takes, and we are going to feast on every single one. First, we are opening with a quick Thanksgiving message and what we are thankful for as A's fan, what this wild ride has taught us, and why sticking together through this storm is the ultimate badge of honor. From there, we dive straight into fan questions and comments, the heart of today's live show. You bring the takes, and I'll bring the attitude, whether it's trades, extensions, prospects, payroll, or just therapy. We are here for all of it. Then we've got a surprise guest roulette. I'll be honest, I have no idea who's showing up today. Could be a Locked On host, could be a friend from the show, could be a family member walking into the room asking why I'm screaming about war before breakfast. Whoever drops in, they are getting thrown right into the conversation. And after that, we hit the fun part. Booney's pick of the day in football. One clear NFL pick. No jargon, no overthinking, just the play I'm riding with on Thanksgiving and why it makes sense. It's simple. Win your morning, win your day. And finally, we close with a Thanksgiving send-off, a genuine thank you to everyone hanging out with us this morning, everyone who's been riding with the show, and everyone who's built this A's community into something special. Gratitude, attitude, and a whole lot of hope for what's coming next. Thanksgiving, fan takes, surprise guest, a football pick, and a whole lot of A's energy. Let's have ourselves a holiday show to remember. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA and NFL seasons are here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bet now. Speaking of who, Sully, happy Thanksgiving. Welcome, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving. And as R.D. Moss just said, Sully must feel special thinking Turkey Day is about him. Well, R.D., there you go. Perhaps I am. Perhaps I am.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
How are you?
Is this my first time on the show since we had our
I think so. Since we had a little spitty spatty spat.
Since we got a little spat, I want everyone to know Booney and I are, I asked that because we've appeared on other shows since then.
Yeah, on the squad show.
And we had a let's just call it a disagreement. And so but you and I are cool, man. So
Absolutely,
I want everyone to know that we like any two buddies meeting at the bar. Every once in a while, you want to punch your best friend in the face and then buy him a beer afterwards. So.
Absolutely, man.
Men are weird. Men are weird.
We won't be the first disagreement. It's all right though.
We're gonna have some. I'm expecting some today.
How is the offseason treating you? Dylan Cease. Big signing yesterday.
Yeah, that was surprising. Not necessarily surprising that he got a big contract, and not necessarily surprising even that Toronto is getting into the fray there. I just was surprised it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I thought that may have been one that they let go pretty far. Jesus M. I don't think it's the same one. He says it's an overpay. I'm assuming Cease, not me.
Yes. Cease.
On that one. Um, in theory, yes. In theory, yes. I think the Blue Jays are in full. We have to win it right now. If it means we're overpaying for someone down the road to win right now, I get that. Man, that World Series,
Was
if
something else.
the classic, if Will
Oh my
Smith's
God.
toe was a quarter of an inch higher, or if Kiner Falefa started 1 second faster, or if what was it, Call and KK Hernandez hit colliding, if that ball popped out, I mean, it was just matters of like millimeters, and I have to say millimeters because it was in Canada, to for the Blue Jays winning, and then Dylan Cease is not a Blue Jay.
Right. That's
Yeah.
crazy. For some reason, you know what? That Dylan Cease signing gave me flashbacks to the 2020 playoffs, the year of COVID. The
Yeah.
A's opened up against the White
White
Sox in the
Sox, yeah.
divisional playoffs, and you would not believe, I'm sure you remember,
Oh,
who
yeah.
the White Sox had coming out of their bullpen in that series. Dylan Cease, Garrett Crochet, Carlos Rodon. They
Yeah.
had Giolito pitch game 1. I mean,
Yeah.
what about the A's giving up on stars? Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, look at how surreal is it that if you go like in the COVID year, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt because it was a 60 game season, but that was what they had. That's who they played, and they were talented. The very next year, the year they played that Field of Dreams game, the White Sox won 93, 94 games, and for reasons that we'll never understand, they brought back the late Tony La Russa to be the manager of the team, which was, I remember doing a show that year saying if you made a Venn diagram for the worst manager for this particular team, in the center of it would have been Tony La Russa. But they did win the division. They did win the division, and in a weird sort of weak Central, it looked like, because they had Tim Anderson, they had Jose Abreu, they had Luis Robert Jr. It looked like they were going to be set for the next 5 or 6 years of winning divisions, and then 2 years later, people are comparing, or 3 years later, people are mentioning the expansion Mets when they
Yeah.
talk about it. They lose 121 games. That's that is the reason why the Blue Jays are signing Cease, is because sometimes that window of opportunity is not as wide open as you think it is, and you better jump through it while it's open. And the White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles, who were a 100-win team in 2023 and are now in full rebuild right now. I mean,
Yeah.
there are all these, you see, maybe there's a fear of striking where the iron's hot. And, I mean, that was just surreal. I mean, that was, of course, the last Oakland series, the last playoff series the A's ever won in Oakland. Uh, but, uh, but yeah, it's in, that it was back to Cease. I mean, it's interesting signing. I think that it's smart short term. It may, bunch of people bring up Rendon and the fact that
Yeah.
the Angels are going to probably buy him out,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to compare the two, because the Angels, I've made my thoughts on management, of ownership, not management, ownership of the A's very clear.
Right.
I think the ownership of the Angels and the manager of the Angels is, I don't want to say it's better or worse, it's just weird. And the Rendon signing was one of those, when they made it, it was like, oh, we can't get Garrett Cole, well, let's get Anthony Rendon. And it's like all throughout Orange County, people were slapping their forehead.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Here is my pick of the day. First, yesterday, I told you, Cade Cunningham over 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and Peyton Pritchard over 1.5 threes. It paid around even money. Cade Cunningham ended up with 55 points, rebounds, and assists, and Peyton Pritchard ended up making 4 threes. That was a winner. Here's another one for you today. It's simple. Jared Goff over 1.5 touchdown passes, and Jordan Love over 1.5 TD passes. This should pay around 1.5 to 1. You are welcome and happy Thanksgiving. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On A's part of your everyday routine and your first listen. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you are not yet an everydayer, please hit that subscribe button. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And if you do reside in the state of Nevada, we are on Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Silver State Sports and Entertainment, Digital Channel 5.2, and Cox Cable Channel 77. This offseason is interesting for the A's. I have made it clear that I want the youngsters extended. I want them to do what the Red Sox did with Roman Anthony, Kurtz, Soderstrom, Wilson, in order to get this fan base exciting, in order to create a fan base. Obviously, the biggest thing the A's are struggling right now is a fan base. There is nothing to get this fan base excited about, because you could say we could go argue till we're blue in the face on the why, but going forward, the bottom line is, and the truth of the matter is, what happened in the last 25, 30 years is a fact, okay?
Yeah.
He has not invested in the ball club. They have developed great talent, and they have let it go, and it's always been a constant resurgence. It's hard to get this fan base excited about something that's happened for 3 decades. Going forward, that what's done's done.
Yeah.
We have some great talent coming up.
Yes.
And there is opportunity where you have to spend some money, where you have a potential MVP candidate in Kurtz in the next few years, that you can take the blueprint of the Atlanta Braves, what the Red Sox did with Roman Anthony, and at least extend 2 of the 3. Advertise these guys in Vegas. Put posters of them all over. Get something excited. Get something stirring with regard to this franchise. Put Sacramento on your chest. Refer to yourself as the Sacramento A's. There is one thing that ownership and management has always done a bad job of and been lost with reality is promoting the team outside the stadium. I still remember the A's were in the East Bay, and the Giants had a Giants dugout there. They had a restaurant out there. They invaded the territory. He's always an awful job with the community and producing something. The A's play in West Sacramento. About a 15-minute walk, there's Old Town Sacramento. Bars, restaurants. No one knows about it because the A's don't promote it. How about open up an A's bar, an A's restaurant? Something to stir up some excitement. What I want this offseason above everything else is to extend the youngsters. Money left over, hey, I'd like to take a shot on like a Tyler Mahle from the Rangers. His market value is 1 year, $5 million, just because of the injury. In order to entice him to go to Sacramento, you'd have to go like 2 years, $18 million with a player option on the second year. You'd have to do something like that. But there's a potential upside there. What do you see? What do you envision the A's doing this offseason? I mean, I don't want another Severino type signing.
No. First and foremost, the act of putting Sacramento on their jersey and calling them the Sacramento A's is a absolutely minuscule and important thing to do.
Yes.
Because it's tough. You play for a city. I mean, this is mind-boggling. And the fact that everyone has gone along to just calling them the Athletics, to me, it's just mind-boggling. It's like, no. This is bonkers. Yes. Now, you and I have had disagreements on some stuff. I'm impressed the fact that they are indeed building something in Las Vegas at this point. I always check the little webcam and I
Yeah,
post stuff on my on Instagram when there's some progress there. But we still don't know. I mean, that's going to be a couple of years away. You could build something nice here. You could
sure.
build some. You could build. You This could be just that one act of not calling them Sacramento, West
I
Sacramento,
think it's
whatever
a
you're going to
no-brainer.
say,
Yeah,
whatever you're going to call them, just removing that stigma from it, just removing that just has an aura. Every time you just call them the Athletics, you just see ATH. There's just
yeah,
something, it's like a microaggression. It's just every game, there's a tiny microaggression. If you're a fan in Sacramento, and Sacramento's a great city, the stadium they have there is a very good minor league ballpark. It's There's no way anyone could look at me and say it's a major league ballpark, but that's where they are for the time being. You walk across the bridge there, and there are great restaurants, there's great bars. That whole area there is really cool,
it's
and
really nice
it could be a really fun sort
experience.
of side trip
Sure.
instead of this reminder if they're not Oakland, but they're not Sacramento, don't call them either one. Like,
Right.
no, call them that and have it be a fun party. Have it be something. You weren't that weird. Remember when it was in Sacramento for 3 or 4 years? Yeah, that was weird, but
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. Instead of it always being
Yeah.
a reminder of everything. And if you're a fan, they're going like you're not even going to call us by our city name. Well, why should we show up?
Yeah.
So there's that element.
Yeah.
Um,
Agree.
and the fact that you could be building a bunch of, think of they played in Philadelphia all those years, so many great stars in there. They didn't have a lot of great stars in Kansas City, but all the big stars who eventually evolved in Oakland started in KC, like Catfish Hunter and Joe Rudy and Burt Campaneris and Sal Bando and Reggie Jackson, all played in Kansas City, but they flourished in Oakland. So there you had your Kansas City ones, you got your Oakland ones. Kurtz is a Sacramento guy.
Yeah.
He's not an Oakland guy.
Yeah.
Wilson played like a handful of games and he got hurt like in his first game, but
Yes.
he is a Sacramento guy. You can have a bunch of fans say, "Hey, these are our guys. These are our people." And
Yeah.
even if it's there as a temporary thing, it could almost have like a college sports thing. Like when
Good
you
call.
take a look at
Yeah.
someone's not going to be at Georgetown
Yeah.
forever when in basketball, or
Right.
at Auburn for football,
Yeah.
whatever. It
Great
just shows
call.
how. But you remember, like when I went, when I visited Auburn back during one of my performing days. Bo Jackson hadn't been there for a long time, but there are Bo
Yeah.
Jackson pictures everywhere. You go
Yeah.
to my alma mater of Cal State Fullerton. They have pictures of all the great players who were the big stars in for the Fullerton Titans. That
Yeah.
it could almost have that college, if it's in a minor league stadium, it could have that
Right.
college feel
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can have young fans that are like, hey, I was there when the Sacramento A's were there, and I rooted for Wilson and Kurtz and Soderstrom and all of them. Instead, it's like, ooh,
It's
yeah,
purgatory. It feels like purgatory.
it's
Yeah.
like a divorced dad staying in
Yes.
the guest house.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. I mean, the franchise has enough negative attention on it, and the most
Right.
obvious thing is just the city name, where no one would blink twice by calling the Sacramento.
No.
It's the stupidest. We agree on a few points, and that's one of them for sure. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You will always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals as well. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I have bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. The other situation the A's currently have right now is bullpen. I want to get your opinion on bullpen by committee. The last time we've really seen an effective bullpen by committee that grew some attention was 91 with the Nasty Boys, right? Dibble,
Yeah.
Charlton, and Myers. Second half last year, A's did the bullpen by committee,
Right.
and they were effective. I think they should go back to that this year. It cut costs. You're not signing that closer, and it keeps everyone kind of into it as far as it goes. What's your thoughts on bullpen by committee? We haven't seen it for a long time.
I'll tell you, another year bullpen by committee really worked was the 2005 White Sox.
Yeah.
In that Dustin Hermanson had the most saves, but I think he made one more appearance in the playoffs than I did that year. And Bobby Jenks, may he rest in
Yes.
peace, kind of became the closer, but Guillen did a very good job with that bullpen that year, that he seemed to be more interested in less of padding someone's save stats and more of just I'm always going to bring in the pitcher who's best for this situation.
Sure.
And they had like Luis Vizcaíno, they got Marte, they got obviously Hermanson, they had God, they had a lefty there. I can't remember his name. Forgive me. I'm not an expert on the 2005 White Sox, but I remember that all throughout that playoff, between Boston, they didn't use their bullpen against the Angels. They pitched four complete games in 5 games
right
against the Angels, but against the Astros, just constantly bringing in the right guy at the right time, and without necessarily, Burley got a save in the World Series. Like he always using the right player.
Sure.
At the same time, when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2018, yes, they were doing some shenanigans with their Apple Watches, but you saw that Cora was always, he wouldn't be afraid to bring in a starter. He wouldn't be afraid to bring in your top reliever in the 7th inning. It's sort of like, just instead of being worried about the saves, let's worry about who the best pitcher is on this particular moment. There's when La Russa created the closer goes 1 inning, the setup, setting it up when they had Eckersley, Honeycutt, Nelson, and then some combination of whether it was Todd Burns or Greg Catteray, whoever
Sure.
it was who was coming in there, and having your assigned roles. That was great when you had a Hall of Famer like Dennis Eckersley. That worked great when you had a Hall of Famer for Joe Torre with Rivera, or individual years like Uehara 1 year or Brad Lidge 1 year with the 2008 Phillies. If you don't have a stud like that, then don't act like you have a stud like that. If you don't, then always make sure you bring in the right pitcher for the right time. And I think the A's could do that. Now, if a closer emerges, we saw that in 2014 when Josh Johnson didn't work for the A's, and they tried Gregerson, they tried Doolittle. Eventually, Doolittle did the job really well. Thank you very much. But that came after some experimentation. I think dealing Miller, I get why they dealt Miller.
Yeah.
It's sad because Miller was a fan favorite.
Yeah, he was
on the mound, but there was also he was a Lamborghini in a trailer park. It was and you hope that they got 3 or 4. They traded Sears with them too. I mean, you got 3 or 4 players, and you hope 1 or 2 of them turn into a major leaguer. But if you don't have a big stud, you don't have a Trevor Hoffman or a Lee Smith or a Rivera or whomever, then don't act like you have them.
Yes.
If you don't have Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise in your film, don't put a respected character actor as the poster.
Absolutely.
Dylan Walsh is I'm not here to see Dylan Walsh. Don't act like you have it.
I want to get your final take before I let everybody go eat their turkey and get ready for this football game. Possible lockout. I'm going to give you my quick take real quick. I have a hard time. In my opinion, I think it's posturing right now by the owner. And the reason I say that is 1994 set a precedent. When that went to federal court and the judge ruled against the no salary cap, it set a precedent. That will never be ruled against again. The owners know that. There's 7 other pressing issues, such as a harder luxury tax, expanded playoffs. Owners want to control more things with regard to technology and things in the rules around the game. I think what they're doing right now is posturing, saying, and at the end of the day, You can have your no salary cap. We want everything else. And I think it's going to come down to that. What's your take?
My take is this. Here's my biggest problem is that this is a potential labor dispute that is not between the owners and the players. It's between 28 owners and 2 other owners.
Yep,
They
the
set
Mets,
up a luxury
Dodgers.
tax, and you're seeing things like the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Cubs adhering to it and making decisions like dumping Rafael Devers, like the Yankees not going out trying to sign, Manny Machado when they had a huge gap in shortstop. And they needed a left-handed bat, and they could have signed Bryce Harper. And as far as I know, they never even made him an offer. And that's because they wanted to stay under the luxury cap. You have 2 owners, 2 ownerships who don't care. Los Angeles does not care. We will pay. And the Mets don't care. And they will pay. And look at how well it worked for the Mets. The Mets have gone on and won championship after championship. The dynasty that the Mets, they missed the playoffs altogether, missing against the Cincinnati Reds. But it's really the players gave up a lot the last time. There was no luxury tax before.
Right.
There was no revenue sharing like this before. I think the bigger problem, and this should be no shock to you, are when teams take revenue sharing, they should be audited.
Yes.
Every penny. If you are the Marlins, you are the Pirates, you are the White Sox, you are the A's, whomever it is accepting the money from the luxury tax and the revenue sharing, you have to show every penny is going to re-signing your players, international free agents, scouting. You have to show how it's being done. And if you see the A's were forced to spend last year.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a team that's going to be forced to spend this year is Miami. And like the Marlins who are on the cut, like the A's, the Marlins are on the cusp of being a 500 team. And they are going to be, if they don't spend this money this year, they're going to be penalized. And you're going to see an improved Marlins team. I guarantee you that. And so I think the idea of there being a labor dispute, and there's another reason why I think the labor dispute is not going to happen, is because we just had an incredibly highly rated World Series. And baseball, for the first time in a long time, has a superstar that is capturing beyond baseball fandom.
Sully, thank you so much, man. Hey, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
As far as Locked On MLB and Sully hosting it, one of the best in the business, one of the most entertaining shows, most knowledgeable.
Thanks, man.
Never seen an individual cover all 30 teams the way he does and the way he does it. Check him out on Locked On MLB. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Love you, and I'll see you all tomorrow.